And of course, we had a conversation about the Parliament fire. I see a lot of it still, of course, in our newspapers, which we're looking forward to chatting to you about earlier on. But also the extent of the damage is one of the things that I asked Jermaine Carroll, sir, City of Cape Town's rescue spokesperson. I'm looking forward to that conversation with Monique Mortlock, just to see exactly what the latest is on the ground with regards to that Parliament fire. Yeah,
wind wasn't helping yesterday at all. In fact, let's take you over to what Jermaine had to say about this fire when Toombs spoke to him a little bit earlier. It's the fire has been contained, is the latest that we have. The city's fire and rescue services say it took until midnight, though, to get it under control. But there was another flare-up at 5 a.m. this morning. The fire's causing extensive damage to the building.
We all got some kind of a scare late afternoon, just before 5, when the southeaster blew, and then it actually fanned the fire that was starting in the roof void of the National Assembly, and we had to bus in more crews. We had about 10 firefighting appliances. I was on scene till about after 11 late last night, and at about 12 o'clock the fire was contained. We had a small flare-up this morning, also just around 5, but 2 water jets was immediately put on the fire, and it's now extinguished. I can safely say that the fire has been contained. The southeast has died down considerably within the CBD. From the old assembly side, up from the 2nd floor up to the 3rd floor, that has been completely damaged, with the roof of that side also caved in. And if you look towards the National Assembly itself, with the lobby, if you go inside the lobby, the entire ceiling collapsed. The assembly hall, the gallery, that has been completely gutted. First floor up until the 4th floor. There's sections of the floor that has been burned through, and firefighters had to obviously be extremely careful while they maneuver to get up onto the roof itself.
Well, those visuals you just saw there from a couple of days ago, smoke and cloud and all of that surrounding the parliamentary building, but it looks like it's very different outside Parliament now. Hello, Monique Mortlock, you're outside Parliament for us this morning. A crystal blue sky behind you, and I'm not seeing any plumes of smoke. Unless I've got that wrong, that's hopefully good news.
I'm going to ask Mario Pedro just to show you what it looks like right now. Very different scenes from what we saw last night. Last night, by the time we left, the flames were still, or the firefighters were still battling the flames on the National Assembly roof. Today, however, you can see from our vantage point, it looks as if there are no flames. It seems as if the fire is out. Yesterday, firefighters were using aerial, were attacking the flames by aerial support and using those high pressurized water hoses just to get to the flames from the top by using a hydraulic platform. They were also going on the side of the building, trying to get to the flames on that side. This morning things are looking a lot quieter, but yesterday it was a similar situation when we were here yesterday morning. At the same time, things looked quiet. The firefighting teams had been scaled down, and then later in the afternoon, just after a briefing with the presiding officers of Parliament and with Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Patricia de Lille, just after that briefing, about a half an hour later, we saw plumes of smoke once again coming from the National Assembly building, and that fire then flaring up. And that's what we saw firefighters struggling with for several hours, and as you mentioned again this morning at 5 a.m. And it just speaks to the volatility of the situation, and this is something that the MPs yesterday spoke to us about, especially when the media requested a walkabout of the building, seeing as how things had looked at that point at about 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock to have died down. But we were told by the MPs it's still unsafe. It is so unsafe that the engineering teams haven't yet been able to go in. And this flare-up that we saw last night, it's halted that work of the engineering teams. It's just prolonging the work of the engineering teams, because they can only go in once they've been given the all clear by the City of Cape Town's Fire and Rescue Services, which they haven't yet been able to get. Yesterday, Minister Lil was hopeful that they'll be able to get a preliminary report from the fire forensic team by Friday. But given that there was another flare-up last night, they are not as hopeful as they were yesterday afternoon. So this is an ever-evolving and ever-developing story, and we'll be staying on top of it throughout the day. What we're seeing right now this morning could change in a matter of hours when we're looking at wind speeds, the wind changing direction. Maybe there are still some embers that are burnt inside. What we do know, when we're talking about the extent of the damage, is that the 4th and the 5th floor of the National Assembly building have completely been destroyed. The National Assembly chamber has also been destroyed.
Let's look ahead to how Parliament and the National Assembly is going to keep conducting its work. We keep getting told, Monique, that it's not going to affect the work being done by Parliament. The question, though, is how and where. Any clarity on where the State of the Nation address, the budget speech, all of that, which is not far away. I know it's later in the year, but it's not far away now. Any idea yet where that's going to be?
This is something that National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Qakula was emphatic about yesterday during the briefing, saying that the reason why they called yesterday's briefing was to assure South Africans and to assure the media and that the business of Parliament will continue, and especially the State of the Nation address and the budget speech will be passed. Right now, she was saying that they were looking at various venues that have been offered up by the City of Cape Town. That is the City Hall and the Grand Parade. They were talking about the fact that the City Hall that has been recently renovated can accommodate about 1,000 people. They were also speaking about Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis making the city's own chambers available for Parliament if they need to conduct urgent business and there needs to be a sitting of the House. They were also saying that the Cape Town International Convention Centre had also offered up the CTICC's facilities, which is also large enough to house a State of the Nation address event. But then you heard from other members of opposition parties saying that, do we really need the pomp and ceremony that usually comes with the State of the Nation address, especially given what has happened now? And we have seen, especially last year, a much more scaled down State of the Nation address. And they're saying, why can't we continue with that? Why can't it be done digitally, as we've become so accustomed to conducting other meetings and sittings over the course of this pandemic? So all of these things are being looked at, and more announcements just on the clarity of where the State of the Nation address, where the budget speech, which is set to take place in February, where these events will take place. But I think for now, the focus by the presiding officers, by Minister de Lille, is just to get inside to where the fire has caused the most damage in the National Assembly, just to have their teams assessing the damage, assessing the costs, which is likely to be in the millions. But according to the City of Cape Town's MACO member JP Smith, he says he won't be surprised if it's in the billions of rands. And all of this still needs to be done, along with what exactly caused the fire, where exactly it started, and all those details are hopefully going to be revealed in the coming days, and that's only if there aren't any more flare-ups.
No, hopefully there aren't any more flare-ups. I can only imagine political flare-ups, though, because what would have been cheaper, Monique, I'm sure, than paying for a reconstruction of Parliament would have been to ensure the sprinkler systems were working, the alarm systems were working, and that there was security at Parliament as well. So I'm waiting for that conversation to come up. But for the moment, Monique Mortlock, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're back to you again later in the morning.